Majesty on the beat.
Your narrator Neil's Music and Therapy Podcast. Y'all checking it out here live. Check me out.
Purchase your tracks now. Majesty on the beat. Purchase your tracks now. Majesty on the beat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to another episode of the Music and Therapy Podcast. Got a very special guest, man. Let them introduce yourself. Let them know who you are.
Hey, I'm Majesty oldest brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Pleasure to have you, big dog.
Divine, also known as ICD. Love the movement. Happy to be a part of it. Looking forward to see what kind of questions in the interview.
Hey, this legendary right here, man. You are a Minneapolis legend, man. It's an honor. Not only are you my big oldest brother, you also have a lot of experience with music, just being career-oriented, entrepreneurship. So I think this is going to be very, very educational. So, man, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear your input on a lot of things, big bro. So let's get right into it, man.
Okay.
So growing up in Minneapolis, born and raised, right?
True, yes, exactly.
Can you share some memorable experiences from your childhood just growing up in Minneapolis?
Yeah, so, born and raised, like you just said. I was on the north side, south side, mainly a south side person. Growing up, having people like Prince at the time and Bob Dylan, my music experience and my history comes from mainly my mother, older people in my family.
Shout out Mom Dukes for sure.
Yeah, her older cousin Jessie was my great aunts, my mom's aunt's oldest daughter. She influenced me a lot with Simon and Garfunkel. My mom was a big Jimi Hendrix fan. One of the biggest things, just to kind of give you the background about the music, I know it's music and therapy.
Mm-hmm.
One of my fondest memories was going to see, my mom took me to go see Prince at like 5, 6 years old.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
I ain't heard that story.
I think it was either at the State Theater. Mom would know better than me. But right off of Hennepin, it's either State Theater or one of them Hennepin Trust Theaters.
Okay.
And they were smoking weed in there and everything. It was Andre Simone was still part of the Prince situation.
Right.
He was wearing the weird stuff way back then, had the long hair and the boots and had some like drawers on. But man was cold, man, and that was one of my fondest experiences. I was into sports a lot growing up, so playing for the park board and being successful at some of the park board things, one of my fondest experiences. And some of my big homies who I grew up with, kind of hanging out with them. We're the city of lakes, and we used to just ride our bikes to the lakes and just ride to the city and do things like that, and just enjoy the city life like that. And just hanging out with my friends, playing wiffle ball or shooting buckets or playing basketball, hide and seek, hide and go get it, just different things,
Oh, absolutely.
So, I got a lot of good fond memories. There was some tough times and rough times too, but I was very well loved, as I'm the oldest of my grandmother's kids, so my aunties, and then they had no kids, so they always showered me with love as a youngster. So, and my even another person who influenced me was my Uncle James, who put me on the Van Halen and the rock and roll side of things. So a lot of different genres of music and shaped my opinion and my thoughts on what I thought was good music.
Oh man, hey man, you've been my big brother my whole life, and You know, I never hear you break it down like that. That's why I'm glad we got this podcast so we could dive into stuff like that and you know ask them type of questions, man. Because even though you're my blood brother, I still didn't know that.
Yeah.
You
The
get what
Prince
I'm saying?
concert, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you that's all about. Cause she, like I said, I was literally 5 or 6 years old, maybe younger than that, in the '70s. So I was born in
Okay.
'73, so probably '70, '79.
The
Prince
legendary
wasn't even really
Prince,
the
man.
real Prince. You know,
Hmm.
you still had the controversy album and all that stuff like that. It was that album, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But it wasn't when Doves Cried, Purple Rain, and the movie, or nothing like that just yet.
Oh, got you. All right, man. So shout out Prince too, man. You know, R.I.P. Prince too. Next question, man. How did the cultural and social environment of Minneapolis shape your early years?
Yeah. So again, music was a big part of it. Sports was a big part of it. But we did have some political and social movements that was going on. Um, I know when I first came into, because our mom was, she's a well-read individual,
Hmm.
and so she introduced me to, I can't remember the name of the book, but a prominent, very um, influential teacher, writer, and political movement guy by the name of Sheikh Anta Diop.
Say that one more time.
Sheikh Anta Diop.
Sheikh Atai Diop.
Yeah. I
Okay.
can't think of Barbarian Civilization. I think was one of the books we read that mom had me reading. Of course, Ag Paley's autobiography of Malcolm X.
Hmm.
Um, Ivan Van Sertima, that came before Columbus. And these are kind of books. John Henry Clark had a couple of them that mom would have in the basement and that she would introduce me to.
Gotcha.
And then so, because of her well readness and kind of, I won't say she's a rebellion, so I'll say her rebellious spirit of not
Man.
going with the norms of what the curriculum at school would be or what people would say is the right way to go about living your way of life, as far as religious perspectives or stuff like that. Um, I remember one time. Okay, so I was like I said, I was an athlete, right? So I used to play sports, and one of the community centers that we had was called Hospitality House, and it was a Christian based
Hmm. Yeah, I used
community
to play with
center,
hospitality hours too back in the
right? So,
day.
but most of us went there to hoop though, but they was spreading what they thought the truth of the word was to whatever they was doing. And
Hmm.
I came home one day, and at that time, you was still a kid, you was a little kid, and I don't even know if James was born then yet, but Johnny and Steve was around. But
Yeah.
your father and mom was it was like looking for some weed or something. And I came down tripping. I'm like, y'all, this worldly stuff, y'all gonna burn in hell and stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
was tripping. Mom said, "Man, listen, after it was a little ruckus. She's like, don't you ever in your life let anybody tell you about what you think or what they think is the key to salvation or freedom.
Right.
Saying or finding your peace of mind as far as trying to find your higher power." That
Right.
always stuck with me because nowadays, I study a different culture and way of life, and
Real talk.
because of mom's independent thinking and making sure that we always was independent thinkers,
Mhm.
I was able to grasp different sciences of life, and again, hence the name I Got Divine now in ICD and study supreme mathematics because of the books that she provided for me, the literature she provided for me, along with the importance of having to be a free thinker. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Hey man, again, did not know this in depth. So you giving me a history lesson that
Yeah.
we never talked about.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Next question, I'm gonna keep moving right along, man. 'Cause we definitely could talk more about that off camera because I'm
Right.
learning a lot right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Um, were there any significant challenges you faced as a child growing up in Minneapolis? And then to second that question, how did you overcome them?
Sure. Yeah, we all got those obstacles. At the time, 70s and the 80s, we have has always been diverse, but nowhere close to what it is now.
Hmm.
So, when people came here from different places and areas, they assumed that because it was, I still think it's a clean, nice city. It's not as quiet as it used to be, but the Twin Cities is still, we
in certain parts, I guess.
yeah. Well, especially comparatively speaking.
Yeah.
Like if you go to the Detroits and New Yorks and down south, I used to go down south to Mississippi every summer in a
Oh, right.
I was like 4 and 13, and it's the dirty South for a reason.
Yeah.
So when you comparatively speaking, it's still clean and well kept city compared to us. Even like much of try to say California's a beautiful city, but you go to some of their areas in the Bay Area. I've been in the Bay Area, and it's like, whoa, what the hell? And it's kind of sad. But just to get to the point, we always, we got a hood, whatever it's like that, but we always appreciated and put a value on intelligence.
Absolutely.
So intelligence trumps almost anything.
Mm-hmm.
Intelligence and integrity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but when you come from other cities, people come from other cities and they come here, they would think, what my mom used to say, bull guard.
Yeah, Bogart. Yeah,
Bogart.
My upbringing is way more. My struggle is more important than your struggle. But I'm coming here, like, I get that a lot when people come from other cities and they want to shit on Minnesota. But at the same time, they say there's money up here. But if money's the root to changing your life, man, appreciate that, man, and just be quiet and kick back, man, and appreciate the change that is bringing you a better life to provide for yourself and your family. So your philosophy there wasn't working. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you was into there was not working.
Right.
So you came here to better yourself. So
or
be
maybe
appreciative.
Your mother or father, somebody from another family member, you might not be young enough to understand why they're making these changes for you, right? And so in those other areas of the country where it may be like it's like you said, the bully tactics is work more than anything else, or you only can survive because it's only survival mode. You don't know where your next meal is coming from or nothing like that. I like to, I'm not trying to take that away from you, but at the same time, you can get a fist in your mouth here.
Yeah. I know.
Put in your head here too, or you can get whatever you think that you was looking for there. You can find it.
Yeah.
But you don't need to find that if that's what you's around all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You do have other options. And I've been to these other cities now too, so it's not like you have to be there around there more time. It's more prevalent because it's bigger. You see it might be more faster, but you still have those options to not to
engage
lifestyles and engage.
Man, I just interviewed a guy from Chicago, and he said the exact same thing. He was like, it's all about that person's choices.
Right.
There's good people and there's bad people. It's about the choices and what you decide to do with the choices you have.
Right.
Not saying that it's not going to be more challenging at times than other people, which is a test to just us as a culture, just being that we're melanated, and that not taking away from anybody else that's going through struggles, but I'm just saying I can identify with that struggle because that's how I was raised. Exactly.
So we can always full circle. So not people saying you don't have the kind of culture, and that's coming from individuals who might say, because it's a city that seems to be predominantly white, that you don't have the culture of the black experience enough to go through the struggle, like what you're saying, or be it from a person who is considered second class or put in a different class by the.
But I will say, people that have
class system,
oh my God,
will go through that struggle too. So you say, there's racism, there's institutionalized situations where it may be harder for you and your family to get to a certain economic bracket in order to find better housing and better schooling and stuff like that, along with the other side of the table saying, you never really experienced the real struggle that a so-called real black person in the urban hills of North America experienced. So those that's a question answer.
Which is some bullshit, because it's like, how you gonna try to shortchange somebody else's struggle and be like, oh no, my struggle was way more. Like, man, get that out of here, man. That's like a low vibration type thinking.
Yeah, those are these are the kids that kind of the city of Minneapolis I kind of could say not experience. So
and them same cats now that grew up and realized, they're like, oh yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? They like, they was on. I should have been more like that.
Oh yeah,
you're the ones that actually changed their life. So
intelligence and integrity, that's runs the gambit. You take that anywhere and win with that.
Absolutely.
Where you go with that can win.
All right, so I'm gonna move on to the next topic, man. So being the oldest, man, oldest child.
Yeah.
You know, we got five other siblings. One of them unfortunately passed, man. R.I.P. to my brother Gray. Just with, yep. But being the oldest, as the oldest child, you know, in the family, what responsibilities did you have growing up, and how did they influence your character?
Yeah, I was a latchkey kid, so like again, I said I lived in North Minneapolis. And mom, if I'm not mistaken, she probably was working at the Urban League or Honeywell, and I'm 6 years old, first grade, and I used to have to go to North Star. I went to Hall. And North Star was a little school, it was like a church school where I had to go pick Shawnee up and walk back to the house, open the door, and wait till mom come home. Sometimes we have to clean up. Sometimes, you know, we know how to boil eggs or something like that. Just get something to eat and wait till she got home. But yeah. And then being the oldest cousin, when my aunties moved up here, you know, saying mom and her sisters used to go out.
Oh yeah.
Me and Shatai used to be watching y'all. Shout out to shout out to Shatai Lambert. Yeah. So you know, saying so. But yeah, it gave me a lot of responsibility. It gave me a lot of independence. It gave me a lot of knowing to do what's right and being self-sufficient.
Right.
And we always, I don't know if it's in our blood now. You know, I got 2 baby moms and 4 sons with one and one daughter with the other. And we were just, me and my daughter was just having a conversation, and she's going through some things, you know, with the family. And I'm just saying, you know, and she's like, yo, I don't get some of the stuff. I'm like, well, you know, from my mother's side of the family, on your side, it's your grandma. You kind of gotta force us to not be independent sometimes and kind of ask for help. You know, she's like, oh, you know, because she's going through a situation right now where she's like, you know, I can't. I'm asking me to do too much. And I was just talking to Maria and James, not just recently, but like within the last year. They're trying to force mom to like, yo, get this, you know, because she's getting to age, and mom's still like, no, I don't need that.
Oh, until she really needs it.
Yeah, that's what Jess and Maria's trying to make sure, like, yo, you know, you say you don't need it, but let's just help you out.
Yep.
So the independence for sure, self-awareness, I guess independence would probably be the big one. Being responsible. You have to be responsible. And then I've been watching a little social media, and I'm learning that I wasn't the only latchkey kid. I didn't know who I wasn't. But just how people are saying it from my, I guess we're Generation X.
Yeah.
From our generation, talking about the 70s and 80s and drinking out of water holes and having to come home, and there wasn't no so-called social media and nothing like that, and all this other stuff that you may have to. We figured it out. You know what I'm saying? Not to say other generations they figured it out, but just knowing that I go sit there, they're hitting home because I go through the same stuff.
Right. All right, cool, man. Insight again. Did not know a lot of these things, man, in depth, man. So, like I said, it's therapeutic. Next question, man. How did being the eldest sibling affect your relationships with your younger siblings, the ones underneath you?
Yeah, I would think that we have a good relationship. I would like to think that. I think that I would like to say that I provided a blueprint that was, you know, what again, we go back to how we was raised. And, you know, moms didn't tolerate ignorance, and she definitely didn't tolerate looking for someone to try to save you. So save yourself. We got a degree in our lessons. You know what I'm saying? This 19th letter alphabet is a S, and we call it safe self.
Safe self, okay.
Yeah. So the S stands for safe self. And this is before I came into studying other cultures and way of life. You can just know that there's just certain things that's imprinted in the DNA and the makeup of certain people. So I think a lot of my brothers and sisters have that in them, although it may be used in a manner that I may not agree with, but they're definitely independent thinkers. They're gonna say what they feel is on their mind as their truth as it's presented to themselves and what their experiences are, and they're looking to try to figure out the answers for themselves first. And if they can't, then they'll probably try to figure out a way to get the answer some other way. Sometimes that is the issues that come to play at hand with,
Hey man, I look at life as a journey, man. So like certain things, some people kind of have morals and values, but some people come from a upbringing and still turn out to be, just want to be rebellious, the rebellious one, and run the streets. But you're right, mom definitely didn't play that ignorant and talk properly. You know what I mean? Have yourself well spoken and things of that nature. So
right. And so yeah, again, the choices you make is the choices you make, but it doesn't say that doesn't take from your thoughts of you being an independent thinker. Right?
Oh yeah,
and a well-spoken, intelligent person.
Yeah.
Now you might make the wrong decisions, but you usually more times than not. And I'm not saying you specifically. I'm saying you as a person who came out of Willie McFarland's house.
Yeah.
You as an individual.
Yeah.
Knew how to what we would call in culture by God is do the knowledge, which is listen, respect, and observe your surroundings at all times.
Yeah.
And once you do that, you got it's your decision to be made.
Right.
And more times than not, there, I don't necessarily think, although it has happened, that people have influenced the decision making of my brothers and sisters more than they influence themselves or influence another person.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah,
man. That's why sometimes we be bumping heads because we're very strong in our opinions. It's like, yo, man, the Knicks good, but you know what I'm saying? I'll mess with the Timberwolves, or you know what I'm saying? But OKC, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be.
Decision making life, like I'm gonna indulge in this way of life. I'm gonna indulge in this way of life. So
But at the end of the day, we love strong too. We got that bond when it all boils down to
right
it.
There.
You know what I mean?
That's one thing. I don't think I was necessarily taught as more that it was just experience. We do. I have those kind of issues right now with past relations and all kinds of other things. Like, yo, what you mean? I guess that's the way I raised. I don't get it. I don't.
Man, I preach. Yo, man, but this not my interview. It's yours, so I'm gonna move right along. So, what lessons did you learn from being the oldest that you now pass down to your children and now grandchild?
Yeah, no question. Yeah, and I got grandson now, but then that's the most important one right there is independence and free thinking. I think you can go anywhere in annuals of time or in space, or if you want to try to break it down in any kind of format, the micro or the macro, with the free thought, and have someone to have independent, like, yo, we're respectful, but we're not letting you. And again, that one I'm gonna back to when I said the whole thing about you guys gonna burn in hell because you're listening to worldly music and stuff like that, and that always will stick with me from that point. And another time, just because let's just let you know, I remember I came home from school with a note. The teacher's like, yo, he did really good. And Mom was like, what you mean? And she went up to the school. I remember her name was Mrs. Westlake. She went up to the school and screamed at the lady like, yo, fuck you mean you did really good?
Really good with what? I'm trying to
like my behavior or whatever.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, I got to know home from school. She's like, no, my son always, I know he's not a well-behaved kid. And she's like, no. So what did he do that you felt that was out the norm to try to say he just did what a normal kid's supposed to do, right?
Right.
She says, she's like, so, and I'll never lose my head either. It's like,
man,
yo, man, you are, saying, this is like being able to take care of yourself, unless of course something happens, right? That is expected. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We always need help, and sometimes it's not an island, and that's why I pass on kids. Yeah, you should be able to be independent and be able to take care of yourself and find a way to, saying that's where I was saying earlier, like, yo, some people might choose where it might jeopardize your freedom. Somebody might choose, well, yo, I'm not gonna do a 9 to 5. I'm got this entrepreneur spirit. I might be hurting, but I'm trying to figure out.
I'm about to go hit this lick real quick.
My situation, you know what I'm saying? But it is always like, yo, keeping your integrity and independence, and hopefully you're doing it in an intelligent way. know what I'm saying? So I always pass those.
That's why I ain't really never get off into the selling drugs, because it's like my moral compass is like, I couldn't see myself doing something to that to somebody else, even though it's a quick way to, you know what I'm saying? It's like what it's doing to that person.
I could indulge, and you know, and those were some of my struggles. Just to say, you know, just to let you know, those were some of my struggles with that lifestyle. Was, man, you run into people, you see people and their kids, and it's just you around that stuff all the time. It has to be affecting you, and it does. It affected me. You know what I'm saying? It affected me. So
yeah. So
to each his own, but again,
all right, so being a father, how has becoming a father changed your perspective on life and priorities?
Right, so I always, again, it was an older brother, older cousin, and my mom's immediate nuclear family, my grandma's immediate family. But again, my mom was raised by my aunt partially too, so my aunt's older than my grandma. But my mom was raised by her aunt, which is my great aunt, which is older than my grandma, and her cousins, my cousins, which are her grandkids, and her kids are older than us, so they influenced me too.
Okay.
But yeah, father changed me more on like being more conscious of things I do and say in front of them. So
that part.
They can, especially what you do, is more of a learning experience than what you say. So I try to be really conscious, more aware, especially when they start getting older into their teen years, about the kind of conversations we have, the way I say it, and what I'm doing as a person. Saying this more freely. It's not, because it does affect more people. You know, I kind of had to break down my entrepreneurial spirit myself, because people who's responsible, you're responsible for now.
Yup,
So,
absolutely.
I had dreams and aspirations of being a music mogul, shooting for them, but as you shoot for them and you ain't no money coming into the house.
It's like, how we gonna eat?
Yeah. So I had to kind of put those things on the back burner and kind of buckle down and start to make sure I was paying the bills.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being more responsible and conscious of how I was conducting myself around them.
Absolutely.
Becoming a father.
Can you share some of the challenges you face as a father and how you address them?
Yeah. So, I co-parent. So dealing with child support and not necessarily being in the house with my children as they were growing up. I got a daughter that lives in Michigan. My 4 sons live here in Minnesota. But at the age, my oldest son is going to be 30 in July, so probably when he was like 6 or 7, that's when we kind of separated, just went our own direction. And I know all my kids, not all of them, but I know they're good friends, and I've been to not prom, but the graduations. I didn't see prom. I was there for that prom, a couple proms before they went to proms, with taking pictures and birthday parties and all the stuff that's prevalent in growing up, and people will say it's probably a good place to be, or where you would like to be for these ceremonial, or what is it, landmine, or what's the word? Landmark events.
Landmark, yeah.
Yeah, these landmark events.
Monumental
events. So, but there's nothing like being in the house and being there, seeing what a man does, especially when you're a young man trying to learn how to become a man. So those are struggles, and then it'll be like, again, we have cultural differences. Like, I'm not into said holidays, or if they are, let's look deeper into the scientific backing behind a winter solstice or spring equinox, or a Hallows Eve, and there might be underlying things. So we'll hit heads on stuff like that. Saying, I don't want my kids going to necessarily a Catholic school or this school or stuff like that. So we'll bump heads on that. But again, with the fact of my mom being who she is, and grandma being who she is, and her grandfather, and all like that. I think that genetic makeup of being an independent thinker and being someone who try to have free thoughts is the most important thing. So now that they're grown, I had a conversation. This is probably like 6-7 years ago.
Okay.
With my kids, I was like, because we were just having a conversation, like with their mother, my sons specifically, about just how much did you actually help raise the children, and then we start talking, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, and Unique, that's one of my son's name. He's like, Mom, you kind of was tripped. I had to show him. I'm like, yo, when I look at it, it was nothing. But my child support bill at the end of the it was like 13 years, was like $150, almost $200,000 that I ended up paying out over that time.
Oh.
And let's not forget, you guys, whenever birthdays was coming around, I was, we was going to nice places to go out to eat and enjoy stuff and do like that. And let's not talk.
That's what's hot, come and shop, pick and pop, they in flocks, rising stocks. You better let me just do my thing. Ain't no more average Joes, lots of cash, lots of O's, money long, it don't fold. Let me just count my thing. That's what's hot, come and shop, pick and pop, they in flocks, rising stocks. You better let me just do my thing. Ain't no more average Joes, lots of cash, lots of O's, money long, it don't fold. Let me just count my thing. We moving on the grind, they gon' talk and whine, and when we walk we shine. This is our shot, no grind. That's why I don't be liking y'all, cause most is fake. To the first we draw reverse the car, at worst they mostly hate, man. Now what you talking about, I trust these hoes. We got exceptional game with respect to the claim, just to get in touch with goals. Your next could never have too much of those. And if you got it, I need it big. Government, they have too much control. And the same we win, and then you think you lose. This is how we just rebuke this. To the rest that's on the blueprint. You never catch me like I'm moving the same. And if you see me while I'm coolin', know I'm doing my thing. That's what's hot, come and shop, pick and pop, they in flocks, rising stocks. You better let me just do my thing. Ain't no more average Joes, lots of cash, lots of O's, money long, it don't fold. Let me just count my thing. That's what's hot, come and shop, pick and pop, they in flocks, rising stocks. You better let me just do my thing. Ain't no more average Joes, lots of cash, lots of O's, money long, it don't fold. Let me just count my thing.
This feels right. This my zen.
Money post, money.
I'm thinking about the green.
Money post,
I'm living in my dream.
Money post,
Life ain't what it seems.
money post,
We lit cause we the king.
money post,
I'm thinking about the green.
money post,
I'm living in my dream.
money post,
Life ain't what it seems.
money post,
We lit cause we the king. It's been a long day, struggling, got my grind day one. You went the wrong way, still hustling till the daylight come. That Minnesota code be vicious, that Minnesota trolls be wicked. That Minnesota flow make Minnesota roll, and the Minnesota show ambitious. I'm best see the green like gold from the next generation. Look at me like, oh, not the flex, time to get it like he might blow. How to stack up some music like he might know. Don't stop, don't quit, we hot, oh shit, we got more licks to grab. Plus I got more shit to have, we brothers even though we got different dads. At the pace I be going, y'all thinking that the joke's on you. White folks got the scope on you. Do it on my own to evoke y'all through. They say they game don't change, but the players do. On my ad man shit, in the cut on my backhand shit. Let the track play through when the track had me. I'm thinking about the green.
money post,
I'm living in my dream.
money post,
Life ain't what it seems.
money post,
We lit cause we the king.
money post,
I'm thinking about the green.
money post,
I'm living in my dream.
money post,
Life ain't what it seems.
money post,
We lit cause we the king.